Our next speaker is Saleh Mamon, who is a retired head teacher, and he's an old friend of CagePrisoners. He works alongside CAMPACC, the Campaign Against Criminalising Communities, and they've been at the forefront of really trying to explain how counterterrorism policy in the UK doesn't just affect Muslims, but affects communities across the board. And so Saleh is going to speak to us specifically about the experiences of the Kurds, the Balochis, and also sorry, I've lost my notes. The Tamils, of course. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Asim. Friends, comrades, I really must say I'm delighted to be here, and I'm delighted to what CagePrisoners, the project CagePrisoners. So solidarity to them for what they're doing, and we shall be with you through this particular project as well. I want to explain about CAMPACC. CAMPACC was set up by Terrorism Act 2000. It was a very fundamental legislation all of you should know about. There were many acts that followed. 5 acts followed 2000. It's a formidable legal power, giving the police massive powers to stop and search, Schedule 7. It's not one power, many powers. That's what I want to talk to you about this. Yeah? And CAMPACC's been working with communities that go beyond the Muslim community. Kurds, for example, are Muslims. But if you talk to them, they don't actually say, our struggle is Muslim. They say our struggle is a national struggle for self-determination. Similarly, we work with the Tamil community. Tamils come from Sri Lanka. And as you know, what happened to them if you followed Sri Lankan news? They're Hindus, but they've been subject to the same kind of powers under the Terrorism Acts. So if you then go to Baloch in Pakistan, we work with them. We work with the Basque community. Basque come from Spain. And recently, we've started working with the Somali community. Now, when we take testimonies from the Kurds, etc., Tamils, the experience is what Asim described very vividly, what Mr. Ryder they described as well. I forget your first name, sorry. So, described as well. Those kind of, problems, yeah? Facing vivid description of intimidation, of fear. Now, in case of Kurds and Tamils, there is all the evidence that they're politically motivated. Political activists traveling for solidarity to Germany, to Switzerland, even Tamils coming back, repeatedly stopped. And our belief is that there is very close cooperation with intelligence services, in Turkey, with the British intelligence services, and their database in picking people up. So it's a political issue. Now, Schedule 7 is a formidable power. But you should not look at it alone. You must look at it in the context of all the other powers, because the combined effect of those powers are extremely serious. Now let me look at this issue about Schedule 7. Now, one power, for example. Now I also want to say very clearly, the principle underlying these powers are preemptive principle. That means you intervene into somebody's everyday life, anything earlier, very early, to stop presumed terrorism. All the powers are preemptive. There are certain powers that are not, but this power is preemptive. Now, one power is that Act puts for is banning political organizations. Now, there are 52 political organizations banned. Most of them are Muslim. Anything with the name of Islam is banned. Honestly, that's true. You just got the list. But that's not the case. Tamil organizations are banned. Kurdish PKK is banned. Now look at the implications of those banning organizations. You are saying to people that you have no right to discuss the politics of this organization in this country. That's a crime. You have no right to support those organizations. That's a criminal offense. And look at the injustice of this. You cannot discuss peaceful resolution of Turkish conflict and Kurdish conflict without talking about Kurdish rights and Kurdish politics. Similarly, you cannot have a discussion in Palestine without talking about Hamas, because there will be no solution to that problem. Banning this organization has profound effect on communities, in their everyday life. You're trying to organize a meeting, you're a Tamil, you're a Kurd, there's suspicion on you. That you're going to, because any meeting of more than 3 people, did you know that, discussing these political issues are criminal offense. That's what the law says. Any support from them, however defined, is a criminal offense. If you are a Palestinian in this country, you go to the West Bank, you don't know, you're at a Hamas rally, you're not supporting Hamas. When you come back to this country, they can arrest you for supporting Hamas. It's as simple as that. Now, this is fear, this intimidation. This means that a group of people, a million people in this country, have been denied two things, which the British talk about their values, and I think we should talk about British values to the British people. They've been denied the freedom of expression and the freedom of association. Every time they talk about free speech, but Kurds cannot have free speech. Palestinians cannot have free speech. And this is why the double standards that we face must be attacked. And I want to say, going forward this. This legislation, what it does, is it defines every freedom movement, anywhere in the world, fighting oppressive regime as a terrorist movement. According to them, Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Honestly, that's no joke. Now, that is absolutely shameful and a double standard, because they feel very, very happy to support the Afghan Mujahideen, and they wanted to support the Afghan Mujahideen because it served the Cold War policies. And this is what I want to sort of go around and link it to the political context. You cannot discuss this issue without a political context. And the political context is local and global. Look at this country. We have an ideological campaign, a political campaign by politicians, a media campaign to give a negative image of the Muslim community, creating a negative sentiment of the Muslim community. You stop an ordinary Brit, him or her, down the street and see what the single Muslim community, the first word will come to them is terrorists. That's what they'll say to you. Honestly, I'm not joking. That's what you do. And that is created. It's a political thing that's been happening in this country. If you really want to read a book on this, Liz is over here. She's written a superb book on Islamophobia, Islamic racism. Buy that book, Institute of Race Relations, honestly. That's extremely important. Okay, 2 minutes. I've not been done 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes very quickly. Can I quickly say that obviously there's a political purpose behind this. The other thing about this is that there is a rise in anti-Muslim violence. And again, Institute of Race Relations keeps a record on that, go to the website and read about it. The political purpose is very simple. It justifies the war in international Muslim countries. That's one political purpose. Second political purpose is to marginalize the Muslim voices of solidarity and Kurdish voices of solidarity in this country, and to assert them, discipline yourself, don't support your fellow brother overseas, otherwise you'll be in trouble. I really want to go very quickly now to talk about the future. Given Woolwich, as you know it, and you remember 2005 incident, much more serious incident, bombing underground. It shook the nation. What did Tony Blair say? Tony Blair said, well, the rules of the game has changed. And what is the rule of the game? The rule of the game is democracy. If you take civil rights away, you take democracy away. You know, the rules of the game is freedom of association, freedom of speech, habeas corpus, right to a fair trial. And that's what Tony Blair wanted to change. So so post-Woolwich, we have to reflect on this. The trouble we have is the British state, long colonial experience, and imperial states, has powerful strategies. It's got counter-terrorism infrastructure in place. It's got people for whom terrorism is something extremely special, it's a legal category. There's money in terrorism. If you utter that magical word, you get funding. Intelligence service get money, they get funding. Security companies get money, so you securitize everything. So it's got a lot of political capital in it. And that's a battle we are facing when you fight against it. Nonetheless, the battle worth having. Why is the battle worth having? Because the principles we have to defend are human rights for all. The principles we have to defend, those are habeas corpus. Any country in the world, habeas corpus means a fair trial before a judge and jury. The principles we have to defend are freedom from torture, freedom from rendition. These principles cannot be compromised. And the other thing, what they've done, look at the corruption of our justice system. Secret evidence was a part of what we call SIAC, where people used to go, terrorists used to go, so-called terrorist suspects used to go. And there's secret evidence. What's happened now? Secret evidence has become, entered the civil courts. The new Justice and Security Bill has been passed. So This dual system of justice aimed at Muslims now has been generalized, that applies to everybody. And that's a shame to this country, that we have to face this. In spite of lots of campaigns, we have not been able to reverse this. What do I think we should do? Very simple. We should stick to these principles. What we should do is take any case of injustice and support that person, build information on people. Communities should get together and record and report on this. The Irish were a very, very good case when they were tortured in 1972. All the people who were tortured recorded exactly what went to them, what happened to them with the Catholic Church. They went to European Court of Human Rights, and the British couldn't face that, and they had to alter their torture policy. And so record everything you get, and obviously you've got to be protected as well. So you could do that anonymously. Secondly, solidarity is very key. Solidarity means building coalitions of, with the academics, lawyers, together, working together on this, defending certain principles. Solidarity between organizations as well, CagePrisoners, ourselves, all the organizations. Community is very important. We find it's very difficult to get communities like the Kurds to talk to Somalis. Somalis talking to Pakistanis. I know there's a great thing about Muslim unity, but I bet you, how often do you talk to a Somali person suffering? How many have you spoken to a Kurd? Put your hand up. Have you met a Kurd and spoken to a Kurd? That's good, But you have to do that. And it's a challenge. Honestly, it's a challenge to break those boundaries down, because Muslim society is extremely diverse. Many languages, many communities, common faith, common values. And we have to decide to talk about these particular issues. The other thing, we have to keep up with the pressure for reform. We are not talking about revolution. We are talking about reform. We are talking about the British, in fact, giving us the values that they talk to us about. I'm told about, we don't respect British values. Oh, we do, but you don't. Fair trial is a British value, and that's what freedom for torture should be a British value if it isn't, because of a long history of torture. So I think that's what we need to do. And we should not give up, because in principle, we're right. And justice is on our side. Thank you very much.